Okay, let's stop pretending that this is some kind of mystery here. Why are the kids voting for Gary Johnson? It's to legalize pot, okay? It's not because they want to go back to the Gilded Era. It's probably not even because they want to legalize prostitution. Not because they want to get rid of Obamacare. Not because they want, a flat tax or any of these sorts of things, right? It's probably not even an anti-war vote, or even about marriage equality, right? It's almost certainly 98% about legalizing pot, at least for young people, right? So you look at these numbers and you see, geez, Gary Johnson has almost 30% of people under 25. Yeah, because they don't understand issues. They don't really. The only political issue that they understand is marijuana legalization. What that actually really suggests is that maybe they don't have the maturity and knowledge base to vote at all. But that's what they're voting on. They're voting on marijuana legalization. And to be frank with you, if that's your single issue, if that's the only thing you care about, you may even want to vote for Trump before you vote for Clinton. Of the three major minor candidates, I mean, I would prefer Stein to all of them, but she seems to have dropped out, right? She's not competitive right now. Of the three candidates that look like they're somewhat competitive, Clinton is probably the least likely to legalize marijuana. And it really probably just comes down to that, right? Gary Johnson isn't doing anything for students, right? He's not doing anything for healthcare. He's not doing anything to get money out of politics. Like any of the things that you would expect Sanders supporters to move towards, none of them are there except marijuana. And I don't buy into this like elite, not elite stuff. Like that's I don't. This is there has to be some issue, right? It's not just like it's not like a brand recognition, right? Like really, do you think that's what it is? Young people are just trying to be alternative. They're trying to be hipsters. I don't want to support the major options. I'll pick the alternative, even though you have no idea what the alternative is. No, it's marijuana. Okay, let's stop pretending that it's a mystery. Let's drop our naivety. Let's stop clutching at our pearls here. It's about marijuana. So what do we do about that? if you're one of the major candidates and you want to get the Johnson voters, you want to pick up that platform, right? You want these kids to vote for you? Promise that you'll legalize marijuana, because that seems to be the only thing they care about. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I can do a proper cost-benefit analysis on either candidate picking up that position. If Trump picked it up, I think he'd likely bleed hard, because, he is still, nominally representing conservatives here, right? I'm not. You might think that it would be pretty obvious that Clinton should pick it up. I mean, besides the fact that she obviously doesn't believe in it, right? She's a drug warrior. Not only will Clinton not legalize marijuana, she'll probably crack down on it, right? She may be okay with medicinal, but like recreational marijuana, if you think Clinton's gonna be in favor of recreational marijuana, you have not been paying attention, okay? She is not going to be in favor of that at all. She will be very aggressively against it. But I mean, if you ignore that and you just look at it, I mean, just because she's against it doesn't mean she won't say she's going to do it, right? I mean, this is Hillary Clinton here, right? What her actual policies are and what she says her policies are don't really have anything to do with each other, right? She could conceivably pick it up and then not do anything about it, right? And I mean, if is she going to convince them? That's another question, right? They might not know her history, right? I think it's that's a complicated question, right? I don't Ironically, I think Trump might be better for it. Like, actually, in office, he would probably care a lot less. Like, I don't think there's any question that Clinton's going to crack down on it. I don't. I think Trump has better things to worry about, kind of thing, right? Like, with all this talk of him being an authoritarian, I actually think he's maybe a little bit of a libertarian, right? That's the irony, right? He's running as a fascist, but I don't think he actually is, right? I don't think he gives a fuck at all. You know, you want to kid smoking pot, who cares, kind of thing, right? What does he care, right? I think that's probably the truth of it. You know, you want to fail, you want to go on welfare, then, you know, that's like he just wouldn't care, right? Clinton is lost in a misplaced kind of like motherly instinct, right? Or, you know, or paternal instinct. Like, this isn't meant to be gendered. It's just, you know, it's just a parenting kind of, keep our kids away from drugs kind of thing, right? She's from another era, right? Clinton lives in a past era. She doesn't live in modernity. She lives in the past, right? So like she's not. She's going to be actively against it to when somebody think of the children, let's protect the children kind of thing, right? But Trump is like, but I don't give a fuck about the children, right? It's not through any, I'm not saying that Trump's position on marijuana is something that anybody wants to emulate, right? He kind of just doesn't care kind of thing. But like, if you want legalization, he actually probably is a better option than her. I'm sorry. That said, he could never campaign on it, ever, because he does nominally represent conservatives. Clinton, while she would no doubt not actually do anything about it, I'm not. You might think it's obvious that she should campaign on it, right? I haven't seen numbers in the United States, but in Canada, it's like 70% of people want legalization, including most conservatives, right? Like, I know that the numbers are going to be different in the United States, and so like I don't. A naive reading would be, it's obvious, do it, if you can get these Johnson voters back. But I think that there's a lot more conservative Democrats than, liberals might want to admit, right? The conservative Democrats are a much larger percentage of Democrats than liberals like to believe. And that's kind of one of those issues that's going to get them to, quietly stand up and cross over. Just like, no, I can't, She's not thinking about the children. Won't somebody think about the children? Right? I don't know. That's certainly younger people that want to identify with the Democrats are going to be more liberal about this. I don't know if we're there yet. It might be another 4 or 5 years, 10 years. Maybe we're there now. Somebody crunch the numbers. Somebody figure that out. What I'm telling you is I don't know. That's an empirical problem that I'm not going to answer, okay? But I've got a couple articles here about Gary Johnson. One of them explaining that his economic policies are worse than Trump's. Another explaining that if you are a pothead, not such a good idea. And another explaining him as a very right-wing radical. It's an alternate article. Alternate's good at smear jobs, and it is a bit of a smear job, but, I don't think that the kids support anything at all that Gary Johnson is saying, except marijuana legalization. It's just that they're likely not actually well-versed enough in the topics to actually be able to articulate a position. It says a lot about the younger generation, but it's probably true. The only political issue that they're actually engaged in is drug reform. And that's why they're falling for this guy. Okay? Let's stop pretending. Let's clue into it, and let's react to it. Again, I'm not saying Clinton should pick this up, I'm saying she should study it. And it might be a good idea to pick it up.